There's always a great sense of excitement when you head overseas to fish new waters. I've teamed up with a group of mates for a week-long fishing trip, and the action was about to start. Hi, welcome to Daiwa Fishy Business. Currently we're just heading out into the Coral Sea. We're at Vanuatu, the islands of Vanuatu. This is an area famed for game fishing. One of the main reasons is that the water here falls away so quickly, so close to shore. Within a couple of miles you can be in 1,000 metres of water. There is an area here that they call the Marlin Highway because the marlin is so prolific. But also there's a lot of islands and drop-offs where you can catch dogtooth tuna, giant trevally, all number of tropical game fish. And also the other thing that's here in good numbers, which is not in New Zealand, is the yellowfin tuna. So join us as we have a few days fishing in Vanuatu. On this day we opted to stay close and fish with freshly caught flying fish that were bridle rigged using some wax thread and a large hook. Once the flying fish was rigged and the line let out about 50 metres, a rubber band was attached and connected to a downrigger. The downrigger was sent down to a depth of about 20 metres. The flying fish is slowly trolled until a predator grabs it, causing the rubber band to break and to indicate a strike. We did not have to wait long and I was wrestling to keep a fish out of the reef. We're getting him out into some deeper water. Hopefully I get a shot at this one. Here it comes. Little doggy, I think. There was a little confusion between angler and crew as I worked the fish to the side of the boat. Yeah, that's this side. Here, I got it. We were keen not to lose this fish, as dogtooth tuna are arguably one of the best tropical species to make sashimi. There we go, one of the fish we were fishing for. Dogtooth tuna, not a monster, but we're targeting it, got it, happy to get it. I'll grab that if you want. Probably 10 kilos, but very, very aggressive fish. The next bite was from a very interesting looking fish.
Well, as Adam says, you never know what you're going to catch out here. We've now got a long tom, which is a fine looking fish, one I've never caught before, so this is another species.
The skipper quickly rigged another bait and set it out on the downrigger. We only had the bait in the water a few minutes when it was attacked by a big fish. About 5 minutes before we had to stop fishing. And we had something to take a bait and it's been mucking around with it for ages. The skipper managed to get us hooked up.
This is my catch of the day. Not quite a doggy, which we've been going for, but this is just as good. One that we'll actually put back.
This was a large coral trout, often eaten in the Pacific, although the larger specimens can have a toxin called ciguatera, which can cause you harm. They get this from eating fish that eat plant algae. The next day the weather was great, and it was hot. The calm seas saw us heading out to deeper water a few kilometres offshore. We started fishing with small micro jigs, quickly retrieved back to the boat after being dropped 80 metres down.
Awesome. Fish has gone on the boat, guys.
Everyone was hooking up on school-sized yellowfin tuna, with the local taxman getting more than his share.
Awesome.
Get up. Yeah. All the boats from the lodge were fishing in the same area, and rods were bending and reels squealing on every boat. Yellowfin tuna are great fighters, and they can really motor. In Vanuatu, they range in size from a couple of kilos up to 100 kilos. They're really good to eat, so we kept a few for dinner back at the lodge.
Drag on, boys.
The sharks were getting too many fish, so the crew suggested we try a technique of trolling poppers as the fish were feeding on the surface.
We just started popping for the first time today, and probably only 3 or 4 minutes into it. And it's all about technique, really, which is why I come fishing with Adam.
Trolling with poppers was new to us, and it worked really well. The trick was to keep the lure popping using a rhythmic action with the rod. The popper was rigged with a large, extra strong treble hook in the middle and a mustard inline single hook on the back of the lure. Well, I just had my go and stuff. Hey! Trolling with the popper and a nail after about 10 minutes. Now I'm going to try and fight this one back to see if I can get it in before the sharks get it. Here we go, fellas. But they're so powerful, even the little ones. The tail just keeps beating the whole time. It pays to use good strong tackle as well, as they often hook marlin and other large fish using this technique. To be honest, I've only fished for about 5 minutes today. With plenty of fish and arms aching, it was time to head back to Trees and Fishes Lodge for some yellowfin sashimi and a good rest. Coming up, Darren heads stateside to compete in a freshwater spearing comp.
It makes it all the worthwhile coming all the way to America, getting a great fish like that. Today I'm coming to you from Beaver Lake in Arkansas, and I'm here with the Kiwi Spearo team. We're here for the American Freshwater National Spearfishing Championships, and they're also going to have an international competition. Now this is a huge lake, this lake. As you can see behind me, it stretches for miles and miles, and it's a man-made lake. And the interesting thing is on the map, you look at the map and it shows you, it says ruins. So they've flooded a valley, there's ruins and roads and things, and we're diving on top of them. The water's quite dirty, but it's extremely warm, and there's lots of fish. So come and take a look at Beaver Lake.
The heavens opened up, making for a wild ride out. Rain hitting you in the face at this speed is not great. Early morning the air temp is a little cooler, but the water is a very warm 27 degrees.
It's like getting in a warm bath. Beautiful.
Something I've never seen before in freshwater are turtles. This little guy is doing his best to get away. I get him up to the surface for a breath of air. Those are wicked looking claws that must be to allow him to pull himself along the bottom while foraging for food. Largemouth bass are all around me, but they're not target species. This striper has heard me scrunching rocks in my left hand. Jackson's taken one as well. I'm stoked with my one. What a fishery having quality eating fish like this. I wish we had them in New Zealand.
It makes it all the worthwhile coming all the way to America, getting a great fish like that.
For dinner we feasted well on striper. It certainly is beautiful fish. On one of the training days, Alex Edwards from the Bay of Islands showed her talent with this beauty that ended up being a new woman's world record.
Now I'm with Alex Edwards. She's the youngest member of the Kiwi Spearo team, and she's gone and speared this beast from the deep here in Beaver Lake. It's an alligator gar.
Not an alligator.
It's not an alligator gar. What is it?
I think it's a spotted gar.
A spotted gar. She's corrected me. Tell us how you got it, Alex.
So I was diving down looking for carp, and then I saw this thing, but I was like, is that a rock or a fish? So I swam back up to the top, and then I looked at it a little bit closer, and I was like, hey, that's a big fish. And I dove down and put a spear through its head.
It's 7 o'clock in the morning. It's competition day, so it's the American International Freshwater Spearfishing Championships today, and the Kiwi Spearo team are all ready to go. Everybody's assembling, as you can see behind me here, and there's some pretty quick boats here, so there's going to be a bit of action when the gun goes off for the start. So have a look at this.
These boats fly. It was such a blast. Foot pedal instead of hand throttle is a bit different from what we're used to. Carp were number one target. They are big and there's plenty of them. The comp rewards you not only for fish numbers, but weight is a big factor. Carp, although they look nice, are not really good for anything. The boys come in to check my progress. The little electric outboard doesn't frighten any fish that may be around you. This is a drum, another pest species, and also on the list. Notice them digging in the bottom. It stirs up the lake. These guys are great for weight also. Their big bull head is solid. Fortunately, they're not the smartest fish and are also attracted to my pebble scrunching. You've got to hit them well and close to make sure the spear goes right through. We're using small guns due to the lack of visibility, so this means a little less power. You can eat them, but I think a curry would be the best way to cook them. All the pest species were taken away to a zoo to feed animals like tigers, apparently. The good fish were consumed by humans. Catfish are on the target list, but this species wasn't one of them. We're allowed to shoot a total of 4 catfish.
So, that fella there is called a drum. And these things grow up to 20-25 kilos apparently in here. And then they have these big fat carp as well, which obviously are a pest, and there's lots of them. These big scales they have are quite hard to penetrate, so with a little wee gun you've got to get quite close and have a nice sharp tip.
Back at the weigh-in, there were loads of fish coming in.
Second place, 347.95 points, Darren Shields and Jackson Shields.
Once all the scores were counted, Jackson and I took out second place. Scott Macriff and John Anderson from New Zealand took out first. The Kiwi team kicked butt.
Next, it's a fishing frenzy when Kirk fishes Fraser Island.
What a day out. This week I've travelled to Australia to fish a location I've never fished before and hopefully catch some spectacular species of fish I've never caught before. You never know what you're going to encounter on these trips, so I've teamed up with old mate Keston and fellow Aussie old mate Jason, who both contacted me through the Jet Ski Fishing Show Facebook page with promising tales of their spectacular homeland. Welcome to Queensland's Fraser Island. I've launched out of Harvey Bay about 4 hours north of Brisbane today. Keston, Jason and I, we're heading out
to use some light tackle to fish for some pelagics like tuna, maybe some different mackerel species and who knows what else. Going to have some fun. The wind's forecast to get up a bit later, but we're fishing the west side of the island, which will be nice and sheltered. So let's see how we go. I'm using what my Aussie mates call a chromie. Just a basic silver lure. They reckon that does the business, so we'll get it out into the school, see if we can hook one up.
Some predatory fish had surrounded a large school of small baitfish, and it was clearly feeding time at Fraser Island.
The key with workups like this is not to get too close. So I'm just getting to within casting range. That's all I want to be, is just casting range. Just so as I don't spook them. Oh, that's right in the spot. Come on. Oh, come on. Oh, yep, fish on, saw the follow. Saw him sitting behind it. And he just grabbed it. And we've got hopefully a Spanish mackerel on, targeting them in these meatballs. How wicked is that? Be able to see these fish jumping, bait fish getting busted up all around. We target them, cast at them, and we hook one up. Beautiful. Oh. Okay, now I'm going to try and get them in and just flick them loose.
Spanish mackerel are found in warmer tropical waters, with the smaller ones living in schools and the large ones preferring to cruise alone.
These things have got really sharp teeth, so you want to be really careful of both your line and your fingers. Let's try and flick them in. There he is.
They are fantastic eating, and a larger fish can feed many mouths for many days.
He's devoured that. Look at that, he's just devoured that down. Don't need the pliers to get that out. Look at that, beautiful fish. We'll let him go.
The amount of bait fish in these waters was amazing to see, but with a sea temperature of a balmy 26 degrees, it wasn't surprising.
You can see up ahead a whole lot of bait fish getting harassed. There's a big black patch in the water. That's all the bait that's been balled up, and it looks like Spanish mackerel just flying at them, and all the bait fish are coming flying out. Should be some awesome action.
Oh, yep, fish on.
Hooked up. Here he comes. How's this for another new species? With a black tip. It's busting up all around me. So I'm going to get this guy back in the water and get back into them.
This one was a leaping bonito, another warm water fish that loves to chase bait right into the shallows.
Look at that, for a beautiful fish. And he's got this big black fin here. Look at that, big black fin, beautiful fish. We'll let him go.
As the day wore on, we headed a little further from shore to see what else was hungry.
Just pulled right into a workup. Fish, yep, fish on. Fish jumping out of the water. Oh, oh yeah. That's a nice fish. Look at the power in that. We're right amongst it now. Justin just hooked up right at the ski right behind me. There's just fish all around. And again, they're everywhere. This is the fun of light tackle fishing, hearing those reels scream when you hook up, getting right amongst the action. He's in his circle now. They go into what I call the circle of death. Look at the size of that on light tackle. It's about a 7 or 8 kilo tuna. Beautiful.
This new species is known as a mackerel tuna, and like all tuna, they fight incredibly hard, especially on light tackle.
And there he is. Let's deal with the rod. How is that for some light tackle fishing? Fraser Island, Australia, light tackle. What a day out.